Hey everyone, you know how sometimes you ask someone how they're doing and they say, I'm fine, but you can totally tell they're not? It turns out a lot of us do that. Studies show that a huge number of people, like way more than you'd think, admit to saying they're fine when deep down they're really not. But here's the thing, it's totally okay to not be okay. We're all human, right? We have good days, we have days when we just want to pull the covers over our heads and everything in between. The important thing is to be honest with ourselves and with others about how we're really feeling. That's what this video is all about. Ditching the I'm fine facade and getting real about our emotions. Because let's face it, pretending everything is hunky-dory when it's not, that's about as much fun as a root canal. Let's be real, there's a lot of pressure in our society to put on a happy face even when we're feeling about as cheerful as a wet cat. It's like we're all actors in a play, constantly performing for an audience that expects us to be perpetually happy and content. We see it everywhere on social media, at work, even in our own families. The curated perfection of Instagram, the relentless positivity of Facebook posts, the forced smiles at family gatherings. It's all around us, creating an illusion that everyone else has it all together. It's like everyone's got this secret pact to pretend everything's peachy keen all the time. We laugh at jokes that aren't funny, agree with opinions we don't share, and hide our true feelings behind a mask of superficial cheerfulness. And you know what? Sometimes that pressure can feel overwhelming. It's like carrying a heavy weight on our shoulders, a burden that grows heavier with each passing day. It's like this invisible force field that keeps us from being our true selves. We become actors in our own lives, playing roles that don't fit just to meet the expectations of others. We're afraid to show any cracks in our armor, to admit that we're struggling because we don't want to rock the boat or, even worse, be seen as weak. Vulnerability is often mistaken for weakness, and in a world that prizes strength and resilience, admitting that we're not okay can feel like a failure. But here's the thing about pressure. It can build and build until eventually something's got to give. It's like a balloon being inflated beyond its capacity. At some point, it's going to burst. And when it comes to our emotional well-being, that something can manifest in some pretty unhealthy ways. Anxiety, depression, burnout. These are just a few of the ways our minds and bodies respond to the relentless pressure to please. We might start withdrawing from friends and family, feeling isolated and alone. The very connections that could offer support and understanding become sources of stress and discomfort. We might turn to unhealthy coping mechanisms like overeating or overworking just to numb the pain. These behaviors offer temporary relief, but ultimately lead to more problems, creating a vicious cycle that's hard to break. And the worst part, all that pretending, it doesn't actually make the problem go away. In fact, it often makes it worse. The more we hide our true feelings, the more disconnected we become from ourselves and others. In fact, it often makes it worse. The facade we maintain becomes a barrier, preventing us from seeking the help and support we need, because when we bottle up our emotions, they don't just disappear, they linger, simmering beneath the surface, waiting for an opportunity to erupt. They fester and grow like mold in a dark corner. Ignored and unaddressed, these emotions can spread, affecting every aspect of our lives, from our relationships to our work to our overall sense of well-being. So, what can we do about it? The first step is to acknowledge the pressure and recognize that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to have bad days, to feel sad or anxious, to admit that we're struggling. We can also find healthy ways to cope with our emotions. Whether it's talking to a friend, writing in a journal, meditating, or taking a walk in nature, there are many ways to process our feelings and find relief. And most importantly, we can strive to be more authentic in our interactions. By being honest about our feelings and showing our true selves, we can create deeper, more meaningful connections with others. In the end, the pressure to please is a burden we don't have to carry alone. By supporting each other and embracing our vulnerabilities, we can find the strength to be ourselves and live more fulfilling lives. So why do we do it? Why do we hide behind this "I'm fine" mask when deep down we're anything but? It's a question that many of us have pondered at some point in our lives. Well, for starters, there's the fear of judgment. We live in a society where showing vulnerability is often seen as a weakness. Let's be honest, nobody wants to be judged, right? We all crave acceptance and understanding from those around us. We all want to be liked and accepted, And sometimes that means putting on a brave face, even when we're crumbling inside. It's easier to say, "I'm fine," than to explain the complexities of our emotions. Then there's the vulnerability factor. Opening up about our struggles can feel incredibly vulnerable, like we're exposing our soft underbelly to the world. Sharing our true feelings can be daunting. It requires us to trust that the person we're confiding in won't judge us or think less of us. And for some of us, that can be a really scary thought. The fear of being misunderstood or rejected can be paralyzing. We might worry that people will think we're weak, or worse, that they'll use our vulnerability against us. This fear can keep us locked in a cycle of silence and isolation. And let's not forget about cultural norms. In many cultures, expressing emotions openly is simply not the done thing. It's seen as a sign of weakness or instability. We're taught to keep a stiff upper lip and to handle our problems on our own. It's seen as a sign of weakness or instability. So we learn to suppress our emotions, to put on a brave face and to say, "I'm fine," even when we're not. So we learn to keep our feelings to ourselves, to suffer in silence because that's what we've always been taught to do. This can lead to a sense of isolation and loneliness. But here's the thing about all those fears and norms. They're holding us back from truly connecting with others and living our most authentic lives. When we hide our true selves, we miss out on the opportunity to form deep, meaningful relationships. When we're afraid to be vulnerable, we miss out on the opportunity to experience true intimacy and support. By opening up and sharing our struggles, we can find comfort and understanding in others. It's important to remember that everyone has their own battles. By being honest about our feelings, we can create a space for others to do the same. Vulnerability can be a powerful tool for connection. It allows us to build trust and to show others that they are not alone in their struggles. So the next time you find yourself saying, "I'm fine," take a moment to consider what you're really feeling. It might be scary to open up, but the rewards of genuine connection and support are worth it. Let's break free from the "I'm fine" trap and start living our most authentic lives. Together, we can create a world where vulnerability is celebrated and where we can all find the support we need. Remember, it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to let others know that too. By doing so, we can build a more compassionate and understanding world. Chapter 3. I've been in that "I'm fine" trap myself. Years ago, when my sitcom ended, I was going through a really tough time. It was a period of my life that I had invested so much of myself into, and suddenly it was just gone. The show had been such a huge part of my life, and suddenly it was over. I found myself standing in an empty room, looking at old photographs and reminiscing about the days on set. I felt lost, confused, and frankly, a little scared. It was as if the ground beneath my feet had disappeared, leaving me in a free fall of uncertainty. But I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to admit to anyone, not even to myself, that I was struggling. I didn't want to burden anyone with my problems. I thought that by keeping it all inside, I was protecting those around me from my pain. So I did what so many of us do. I slapped on a smile and pretended everything was okay. I became an expert at hiding my true feelings behind a mask of forced happiness. I told everyone I was fine, even though inside I felt like I was falling apart. I would laugh at jokes, engage in conversations, and go through the motions, all while feeling completely detached from the world around me. And you know what? It was exhausting. The constant effort to maintain that facade drained me of my energy and left me feeling even more isolated. It took so much energy to keep up that facade, to pretend I was okay when I was anything but. I would find myself nervously fidgeting, rubbing my temples in frustration and feeling the strain of my own deception. And the worst part was, it didn't work. The more I tried to suppress my feelings, the more intense they became. It was like trying to hold back a tidal wave with a flimsy dam. The more I tried to suppress my feelings, the more intense they became. I would pace back and forth, my mind racing with thoughts I couldn't control, and the distress only grew. It wasn't until I finally allowed myself to be vulnerable, to open up to my loved ones about what I was going through, that I started to heal. I had a heartfelt conversation with a close friend, and it was like a dam breaking. Talking about my struggles, admitting that I wasn't okay, was like letting out a huge sigh of relief. It was as if a weight had been lifted off my shoulders, and I could finally breathe again. It lifted a weight off my shoulders and allowed me to finally start processing my emotions in a healthy way. I began to meditate, journal, and find peace in the little things. It was a journey, but one that led me to a place of genuine healing and self-acceptance. Chapter 4. So what's the takeaway here? Well, first and foremost, it's okay to not be okay. We all go through tough times in life. We all have moments where we feel overwhelmed, stressed, anxious, sad. You name it, it's part of being human. The important thing is to acknowledge those feelings, to give ourselves permission to feel them fully, without judgment. And when we're ready, it's crucial to reach out for support. Talk to a trusted friend or family member, seek professional help, join a support group, whatever feels right for you. Remember, you don't have to go through this alone. There are people who care about you, people who want to help, but they can't offer support if they don't know you need it. Chapter 5. So, let's make a pact right here, right now. Let's ditch the "I'm fine" facade and start being more honest with ourselves and each other about how we're really feeling. Let's create a space where vulnerability is celebrated, not shamed, and where it's okay to ask for help when we need it. And hey, I want to hear from you. Have you ever felt pressured to say "I'm fine" when you weren't? What helped you break free from that trap? Share your experiences in the comments below. I'm reading, and if you're looking for more information on mental health awareness, be sure to check out my next video where I'll be sharing some helpful tips and resources. Outro. Remember, taking care of our mental health is just as important as taking care of our physical health, so be kind to your mind, folks. Give yourself permission to feel your feelings, to reach out for help when you need it, and to know that you are not alone. And hey, if all else fails, just remember what my mama always used to say: laughter is the best medicine. So go watch a funny movie, call up your goofiest friend, or just dance around your living room like nobody's watching. Trust me, it helps. Until next time, be well, be kind, and keep on laughing.